One question I'm frequently asked in my courses is, should I invest at a market peak? Like when the stock market is at a peak or setting a record, should I invest or should I wait? And so we're going to answer that question coming up. Welcome to the channel where we help you to learn fast so you can become a confident and successful investor. If that sounds interesting to you, hey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, so market peaks, I mean, they're kind of scary. It's like, it's got to come down, right? The whole idea, we want to buy low and sell high. So it's already high. You know, there's so much downside potential, and that is all very true. There certainly is downside potential. Now, here's the challenge as far as investing when the market's doing well or at a peak. One is it's hard to time the market, right? You don't really know, is that really the peak or is it going to keep going for a while? You know, we've had these long bull or bull markets where the prices are appreciating at periods of time. And so you never know, am I at the peak or am I really missing out and then going to buy in later and that might be the new peak? So that's one challenge. The second challenge is this whole behavioral finance aspect of this, you know, where you might be thinking, well, I'm just going to wait, and I'm just going to wait, and I'm going to wait, and then it went up, and it's like, it's peaking, like, I'm going to wait, and then it went down, like, oh, I'm going to wait because it went down, and it's going to keep going down maybe, you know, and it's scary. And so by that happening, it prevents you from kind of investing really at all in the stock market, which can really hinder your ability to save it for your future goals, like retirement and financial independence. And then the third aspect of this, and you're going to see what my answer is here in a second, you probably see where I'm headed on this answer, is the market is always peaking, right? The market in the stock market has these long periods and overall it's very, very successful. Now, past performance does not necessarily guarantee future performance, of course, but historically for, over 100 years, about 100 years, the market has gone up. If we look at this chart here of the S&P 500, and you can see, where we have this long kind of going back to 1982. We have this long stretch here as far as the stock market going up, and then it really starts to really rising in the late 90s. You remember the dot-com era, and that really peaking up here and going up, and then we had a pullback, and then it peaked up. And then we had, in the early 2000s where it pulled back, right? And we went down, so for a year or so. But you could say at where along that you could have sold or not bought in and would have missed out. Now, if you sold at the absolute peak, great, then you would have missed the downside. But then it goes back up again until a big drop, which is 2008, early 2009, which is the Great Recession, right? So that's when the Great Recession, look at that pullback. And then we go in this long bull market, and then we see, as we keep going up, we see these little dips that happen, and then now we're in a period where we're having a little bit of a really kind of after the coronavirus, early days of the pandemic, you see that big drop. Remember that when the stock market really plummeted? But then it recovered very quickly, all within the same year, back in 2020. So you can see that kind of going up, and you can see how, the market's gone up. So if you were to look at this graph, you'd look at the far right and say, are we near market peaks here? Yes. Is there potential for a pullback? For sure. Is the curve a little too steep? Instead of a gradual rise, it's at a steeper rise, so that's a more opportunity for a pullback? For sure. And people are predicting that for long periods of time. And all those predictors that go out there keep missing out on it. The point of all this is, and should you invest in a market peak, is I would say yes. I would say you should have a regular investment program where every month or every paycheck you're putting money into your investments. And a portion of that money should be in the stock market as for something that drives long-term growth. A lot of people would say that. At least that's my experience, my opinion. That's been what's helped me to become financial independent at a relatively early age, so years and years ago. So with that, the more you can automate that, you're going to buy near peaks at times, you're going to buy near valleys at times. Either way, by being fully invested and letting it work over time is going to, really help you to be successful. So I was looking at a question that was asked to me 4 years ago, actually, a little funny side thing. And it said, market's at a peak, should I invest in it? And I kind of gave it I gave the same answer, right? And I hope that person took that advice because she then had 4 great years of the stock market with a little bit of a pullback there for COVID if she didn't sell. So, thinking about that, but we had these 4 great years. Now, it doesn't mean it was going to guarantee that way, but, we had 4 great years. And the key is just keep getting in there, keep getting invested. Invest, especially in more riskier things like the stock market or cryptocurrency, something that you're comfortable with as far as your risk level and all that. But in terms of being in the market and getting in the market and staying in the market, these are all good principles that many investors have used to succeed, particularly over long periods of time. Again, looking at the chart, you can see we have long periods of markets going up with little pullbacks in between. We've had some periods where it's gone down, like for 2 or 3 years possibly. So be aware that can happen too. And then it can rise back up again. But if you see the overall slope of the graph, it's like 1982. It's definitely been on a strong upward trend. And there's nothing that would show that would change as far as those upward long-term trends. But in the short term, anything can happen. All right, hopefully that helps you a little bit. If you're on that fence, what you should do, again, think of your own risk level, put a little bit in, maybe a smaller amount if you're still not sure. But generally the idea is it's better to be in the market than out of the market. And with that, I wish you all the very best.